Okay, happy Friday. We got I think, an interesting video today. If you are a subscriber to this channel and you comment below, you will qualify to get a Scarlett Mini, which is very relevant to this video that we're talking about today. I'm actually going to mention it later. This was supposed to go to Israel, this exact set, but by mistake, another Scarlett Mini, my personal set, was sent to Israel. And that was the one that I was going to give to a Patreon, so I had to give, because I got to fix my mistake. Helios SE is going to be sent to my Patreon to fix my own mistake. But that leaves the original Scarlett Mini to be gotten. And people are waiting 4 months for this, or more. This is, you should try to grab this. Comment below the video. You got to be a subscriber. Give it a thumbs up if you generally like it. You got to be a subscriber also to the Unbox channel, and definitely if there's one of the channels that you wanted to see notifications, that's the channel, because that's where I announce whether or not you won. So good luck to you. So what we're talking about today is, can you measure bass on earphones? And the short answer is, of course you can, because anything that creates any kind of energy or gives off gases or any artifacts or residual somethings created by another thing can be measured by any number of tools out there. It's, of course you can measure it. Now, how do you do that is a whole nother thing, and the accuracy of it is a whole nother thing. And can two people replicate the same thing? That's a whole different video, and I won't even get into it, though I might touch on it here. Let's talk about what actually tactile bass energy is, and we'll do it in a large form so it's easier to see. And if you flip my channel and you go from oldest to newest video, you can see that I spent a lot of time, way too much time, and a lot more money than I should have, trying to suss this out. Basically what happens is, and this is common sense, but for people that don't understand, that tactile slam that you feel on the side, there is a transducer, a dynamic driver, and this is planar. This is a Mod House Audio. And it's mounted to the chassis inside here. 4, 5, 6 mounts, pretty much. And the energy that's created by that, think of anything that vibrates, and if you were to put it on your table, it makes the whole table vibrate. I'm trying to think of something like that, like a motor that's mounted and it's only got 3 mounts and not 4, and the whole car starts shaking because it's out of whack. The whole car is shaking because it's attached to the car. Any type of motor. So a transducer that's creating an enormous amount of energy is kind of like a small version of that. So through the mount points, it's transferring its energy through everything that it's touching. So on a set that has significant bass, you could put your hands on the outside of the cup and feel the vibration. And on the other side, you could do the same, but it would be much less energy, because this pad is like dampening. And the thicker and softer it is, the less likely you are to feel that energy. And anybody that knows the old Sony 70mm XB1000s, I think, with the big Princess Leia pads, huge drivers, tons of bass, but that feel it on the side of your head, not quite what you'd imagine, because there was so much padding to get through, it simply couldn't get through that. Now, on earphones, the energy, these are much smaller drivers, but there are some sets out there, and they're very rare, where people say, I can feel the vibration through I can feel it in my ear. I can feel the earphones vibrating in my ear. Now, how does that happen? First, let's talk about how one would measure that. This is the exact set that you're looking at right here. Let me give you a description of what this is. Vibration meter WT63B. This product is based on piezoelectric effect of artificially polarized ceramics. It is suitable for conventional vibration measurement of mechanical equipment, especially for rotating and reciprocating machinery. It can measure vibration, displacement, velocity, and acceleration, and is widely used in fields like machinery, manufacturing, electric metallurgy, and general aerospace. So what this tool is usually used for is for people to check equipment, and to check everything has a end of life, like how long it's supposed to last. And if you are in a business, you don't want to lose hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars because you didn't know that this big piece of equipment was failing. You know what the manufacturer says it should be used for, and they also have a schedule for how often you should check it. And they use tools just like this And you don't need to use anything on the extension. You can touch right this, but they have little extenders on it so that you can reach around behind and go ahead and check that mount, hold it down for 60 seconds, and then check it, and then check the other mount, and then you've got an anomalous reading where there's a lot more energy coming from one, and you tell somebody, or you do it yourself, tighten that up. Anybody that's in business and engineering knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you do business and one of your pieces of equipment fails, that whole day is lost and you lose tons and tons of money. So you don't wait for something to fail to replace it. You estimate when it's starting to die, because the vibrations by bad bearings or a motor that's having issues, and that it is cost prohibitive for you to even get somebody in to take a look at. You got to start looking at getting that, maybe by the same company you do business with, get that thing replaced. So measuring vibrations on things is something that's very easy. It's very simple. But why would you do it on earphones? Because people talk a lot in this hobby about, like they did with headphones, that this thing slams in my ear. Let me explain to you a couple things. This is a set of earphones. This is a collaboration that's coming up of mine, and it's actually got a lot of bass on it, but I haven't even measured it yet. You can get bass by two ways. One is through the nozzle, and the other is you can feel it coming through the part that's touching on the inside of your ear. However much contact your ear shape gives you, that's the other. There too. You cannot get that with treble. Treble doesn't do that. You wouldn't want that anyway. Treble instant reflects off everything. It looks like this. It scatters. Low frequency is longer waves, and it can travel through wooden walls, sheetrock, some small concrete, depending on how much energy. Low frequency can get through plastic very easily. So there's two types of bass in this world. One comes through the nozzle for all of your sets, and some of them, very rarely, can come through this plastic. And you can feel the vibration, and that might take a lot of energy. It's actually quite rare, to be honest with you. Now, let me explain how I got here. I got a set called the Camper 622Bs, which is this right here. And I did a video that included them, and I talked about how awesome they were, and they're res beasts, and I didn't even touch bass because I didn't know. And then I listened to some hip-hop tracks that I took off of my boombox, and they're not high quality. They're lossy files, which I don't put on my J-River. These are all FLACs or DSDs. And also on my DAPs are all lossless files. But I decided, because I'm moving, to just migrate some stuff. And I did, and when I listened to a track called Raw, which is Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, and I can't remember who else is on this, a woman, I'm sorry. This blew me away. The vibration on this was incredible. It was more than anything that I'd ever felt. And I started listening to other stuff, and I realized there's something going on here. And then I thought, that's enough that I can measure that. Like that vibration that I'm feeling, something out there must be able to measure vibration. And then I got on the internet, and of course there's like hundreds of things that can measure it. And so I sat down, and you got to remember that I'm the guy that did a video, and I told you that I took the Storm and I took the Camper and I adjusted on the N30LE, and I adjusted through the ADI and the Headamp 6 Pro, because I've got 6 channels. I believe I got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 6 channels, and I adjusted because I can adjust the gain from each channel to match it so that this set and any other set but that Storm we're putting out at exactly 77 dB on a 450 hertz tone, I believe is what that was. So I was lining them up to be at some point the same. At 77 dB they were putting out the same amount of energy, which would be locking them in the midsection. And really, when you put graphs together, if they've got reasonably flat mids, you should line them up around 500, because that is a more common area than 1 kilohertz. But that's fighting the hobby, so I won't get into that. But in this case, before the Campers had come along, I was already lining stuff up. But because that was such a crazy set, I decided I better line these up. And so I did. So if you are going to do something like this, you can't do it without giving the earphones that you are evaluating the exact same playing field. And to do that, they've got to be outputting at the exact same amount of energy, volume, loudness. They've got to do it the same, and then you proceed with measuring whatever it is you're measuring. You can't just do it by ear. You can't stick it in your ear and say, that sounds like that's slamming, let's go. Okay, this set sounds like it's slamming, let's go. That doesn't work. That's why when people go to can jams and they say, oh, I did a demo of this and I checked it out. It doesn't work because somebody could be listening to one thing and another person listens to another. So I'm going to do a video about some of the really bad memes in this hobby. And one is that I A and B'd it. Another one is by memory. Don't take this too seriously or take it with a grain of salt, but by my memory, blah, blah. No, don't even say that. Just stop. Don't. Memory, audio, memory of an earphone that you don't have in your possession, and you're going to compare that with one that you have right now or just had? That's not. Don't spend people's money like that. That's ridiculous. So anyway, after having done what I had already done for another video, which was lining stuff up, I started to play the track raw, and I played the first 60 seconds of it. And I'll put up the results for you. And as it turns out, I can in fact measure the energy. And the most, as I kind of could have predicted, because it's the reason that I bought the tool, you got to think about that. The reason that the tool was even purchased was for this set. And I've translated reviews that are in Korea and in Europe and a couple other places, and they're clearly audiophiles, but they're using unique language when they say something about the bass. They're like, oh, the bass you will not miss, or something. They don't get into it because maybe they don't know what it is. But this is something that other people are stumbling on because maybe it's their library. So this set measures the most vibration that can be picked up by this device. And what is vibration? Let's talk about that for a second. When I put something onto a particular spot, how to do this is a whole nother video, and I maybe will do that if you guys ask me, because there's ways to do it and ways that you shouldn't do it. When you put this on there and you measure it, it's going to give you the reading, and I do 60 seconds of holding down that button that says MES, which means measure, and then stop. And then you take another set like the Storm, and you put that on either the splitter or the N30LE, and I can share with you the numbers and what the difference is. Then you do the exact same thing. Something like the Storm doesn't register. This set doesn't give bass through its body for obvious reasons. It's got a metal shell. Metal kills, mutes, dampens the hell out of low frequency energy, which is fine. I've said many times I prefer metal shells when it comes to dynamic drivers. But in this event, when comparing the slam, so when people say that really slams in your ear, no, this doesn't at all, really. Not that you can measure. So you can trust me, bro, to people, but it doesn't do it. And it's pretty obvious why, through physics, it wouldn't, as compared to an acrylic or some kind of plastic resin. The fat frequency does measure, the Grand Maestro, and it's pretty good. It's not camper. Think about that for a second. A bass head company with a legendary slam, and it's less than a balanced armature. Does that make any sense to you? Because it doesn't make it to me, hence buying a piece of gear that I never imagined that I'd be purchasing in my life. Now here's an interesting thing, and I'll close it up with that. This Scarlett Mini measures, and remember I did this multiple times, and once I find the spot that I think is giving me the energy, I sit down and do it in one sitting. And all of these have been adjusted to 77 dB. All of them. And I know how many steps I need to go and how far I need to get on two devices to do that. And I can kind of compare going off two devices. The Scarlett Mini produces more tactile sensation than the Grand Maestro. I suspected that actually prior because of the design of the body and just it fits so perfectly. That fits very well too, but this really gets in there a little bit better. And if you own the two, the track again, you'd have to listen to that and compare them and have them putting out, because these are not the same sensitivity and impedance, so you'd have to calculate for that. But when they are lined up together, the Scarlett Mini slams harder than the Grand Maestro in any of its settings. And mixed and other bone conduction driver sets that claim to be making vibration don't even register. Or it's so small it's less than the Scarlett and the Grand Maestro and the Camper, of course. So I'll leave you there. A future video that I may do here or do it on my other channel is going to explain how I would do a session, how I would do the whole thing, how I would go about starting to with a file. Now, if you do this, you've got to use the same file. Control is removing variables, and the accuracy of what you do is, if I eat delicious food and then I say, I want to make this, give me the recipe. They give me the recipe, which most people wouldn't do, especially a restaurant. But if they were so kind, and then I went home and I could find 9 out of 10 items, but one I couldn't. But I found one kind of like that, so I got that. The results wouldn't be identical to what the restaurant made, because it's not the exact same thing. I got 9 of 10, and I've done this in my life because I worked at a restaurant and I've said, I want to make that calzone, and I don't have a brick oven, but I can still make the pizza bread. And yeah, it doesn't come out the same because I'm not even doing the same thing that was done originally. That's a variable. If you have any variables when you do this, it's not going to come out the same. So I will teach you, if you want to learn, how I do it and how I come up with a consistent measurement with different sets. It is a tedious, it's not easy, to be honest with you. But if you got the ADHD, which seems like counterintuitive, like people wouldn't want to do that. Obsessive compulsive is maybe a better term. If you're like that and you want to drill down and get to the exact thing, I can help you go there. But I'll probably do it in another video on another channel because I don't want to swamp this down with long. These aren't rants, but some people just don't want to hear this kind of stuff. My next video is literally going to be about EAG, Eta de Grasshopper forcing bass guitar, and where that exists on a frequency graph, because there's a lot of misconceptions about a bass guitar being a bass thing. No, it goes way beyond that. So anyway, I'll end this video. Can you measure the vibration on earphones? Yes, you can. Why? Because it's giving out a tactile sensation, which is vibration, and there's lots of tools out there to be measured for that, and it's for people that have equipment that is worth hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, and the impact of one of those failing during a production day is crippling. They can't allow that, so they use tools like this routinely to check on the health of the equipment, essentially. But I can use that same type of gear to measure plastic giving off vibration, because something that is mounted to it on the inside is transferring a resonant energy to the outside, which touches my ear, and I'm measuring that. So of course you can measure bass. And it's fun, because bass, mids, and treble, the only one that you can interact with other than your ears is the bass. Mid heads, treble heads, I don't even know what that is. A bass head, I know what that is, because there's a lot of benefits to a bass head. The other things I have no idea, don't even understand them. That's the video, a little bit too long. Comment below to get the Scarlett Mini, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow or the next day. And I'm out.